Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 332 for January 23rd, 2024. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the AFC and NFC Conference title matchups are set. Harvard head coach Tim Murphy retires after 30 seasons, and we have a release date for the EA Sports NCAA college football video game. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
What times we are living in, Randy? What times? I mean,
It's a good time to be a Lions fan.
oh my God! Boy, I know people are probably sick of us talking Lions to start shows usually, but I mean, come on, we are one of the four
we've earned
final
it.
teams.
We've earned it to be able to talk about it as much as we want.
That's true. We've done 332 episodes,
And most of them were, another year's come and gone.
but I mean, there's a lot of good football. We'll talk about a lot of good football, but
Yeah.
it's just it's great kind of coming into an episode being like,
we're in the
we're
Final
still
Four.
playing. It's
Yep.
January, and
Yeah.
we are still playing football.
I'm thinking that this is the latest Detroit's ever played because, those championship games in the 50s, they were done by the end of the year or
Yeah.
January 1st or whatever. So I think this is the latest date that they're going to be playing a game, which is going to be what?
Let's see, Sunday will be the 20.
I'm not sure what day that is.
No, it'll be like the 20. What is it? I'm like blanking. Like all my days are mixed up. What day is that?
Is it the 28th?
Sunday the 28th.
28th,
Yep.
okay.
There we go.
So, yeah, I mean, they've never played this late in the season.
Used to be Super Bowls were played on January 28th. Now that it used to be pushed back into February, but shoot, the Lions playing at the end of January. Who thought? Who thought they'd see that day?
That game that they played against the Cowboys in '91, that was like January 5th, I think. So a week
the
later,
last playoff win.
a week later they played in Washington and got their butts handed to them.
So
this is the latest that Detroit has ever played ever
I believe it. I mean,
in their 90 seasons.
yeah, I'm sure somebody could fact check it, but that sounds right.
Mm.
That sounds about right now that you mention it.
Okay. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and the YouTube video, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. You'll also find other fine videos on our YouTube channel, like Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast featuring Adam and his brother-in-law Kyle. This week, they're talking about the divisional round playoff game between the Lions and the Buccaneers, and they'll have their reactions to that.
Yep. It was a fun time. Go watch that. Kyle wears a big dumb hat. Spoiler alert.
Yes,
Kyle's always
did.
got some sort of gimmick.
Yeah, he did. Worth the price of admission right
Who
there.
would have thought that he'd be the funny guy around these podcasts?
Yeah. Another video is our NFL picks video. We're going to be recording in the next day or so.
Yeah, we'll do it later this week. I mean, with the games, we have two
Right.
games Sunday.
Right.
I already talked to Aaron. We're talking maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll see.
Okay.
It just kind of depends on our schedule.
But we'll be picking the winners of the two conference final games this week and setting up who's going to be going to the Super Bowl this year. So check that out when we post that in a few days on our YouTube channel. All right, so let's begin today's show, and we're going to begin with Adam, and we're going to start, of course, in the NFL.
That's right, everybody. I mean, what's there to talk about? I mean, what's really happening in the NFL
Only a
right
couple
now?
games.
Only a
There's not
couple
much
of
to talk
games.
about, really.
Oh yeah, it's just the divisional round to decide who's going to play in the NFC and AFC Conference Championship games, and that all started on Saturday afternoon. With the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Houston Texans. Now, the Ravens, obviously a 1 seed in the AFC. Been a couple weeks. Well, it's been a week since they played a game. They had last week off.
Right.
But Lamar Jackson and a lot of the starters didn't play that final week of the regular season, so it's been a couple weeks since we saw Lamar. And the Texans gave him a real good fight there in the first half. The only touchdown for the Texans came on that great punt return. But it was 10-10 going into the half, and I was sitting there thinking, like, man, the Texans really are giving the Ravens a run for their money, but
it's going to be a close game.
It's going to be a close game. But then apparently Lamar Jackson gave a speech at halftime, and that team came out, and Lamar did Lamar things, and Lamar looked fantastic. That team just looked fantastic and just proved why they were the best team in the AFC and maybe the NFL, and really put the Texans in their place.
24 unanswered points in the second half.
So, the final score in that game, 34-10. Ravens take the win. John Harbaugh with a crazy, weird dance in the locker room afterwards.
That was hard to watch.
But, look, I mean, and that stadium, give that Ravens crowd some credit. That was a very lively bunch. I know we'll talk about another crowd that really showed up, but that Ravens crowd was pretty rowdy too.
Yeah.
But what can we say? I mean, let's talk a little Texans for a second. Like, good for them. DeMeco Ryan, first-year head coach. C.J. Stroud, rookie quarterback. The fact that they got as far as they did, divisional round of the playoffs. And, I just think they're a good story. They got a lot to build on for next year. And it's, they shouldn't hang their heads. I know I saw an interview where C.J. Stroud was saying, like, yeah, we're impressed with what we did, but at the same time, like, it's a loss. And, like, what did we really accomplish? And, like, it's a really interesting way to look at it. It's like your team wasn't even supposed to get this far. You were a team that was literally rebuilding.
Barely made it into the playoffs.
You kind of backed into the playoffs, but they played great that last game against the Colts.
Oh yeah.
But had the Jags won or whatever, then the Jags would have been in the playoffs instead of
they needed help. In a bad division.
But then they played a great game against the Browns in the playoffs. And so I really gave them a shot to take on a Ravens team that's had some time off, but the Ravens prove why, they're the best team in the league, probably. Yeah. Anything else from that game from you?
No.
All right. Well, then we'll jump to the second game on Saturday, which saw the San Francisco 49ers escape the Green Bay Packers 24-21. Going into this game, I know a lot of people they didn't write the Packers completely off. The Packers played a heck of a game against the Cowboys, but I figured it was going to be as close as it ended up being. And for a while there, I want to say for 98% of this game, the Packers really controlled this game. The 49ers eventually did, get the lead and kind of hold onto it at the end. Jordan Love made a really terrible Brett Favre-esque interception.
That was the difference. He thought he was Brett Favre because Brett Favre could just heave up a ball and somebody would catch it.
Did you see the side-by-side?
No.
Brett Favre threw a pass exactly, like body motion, exact same way he
No, I didn't see that.
Yes, find that video. It's so fascinating. It's the exact same way he kind of ran and like jumped and like threw the ball across his body and it got intercepted. Same exact thing for Jordan Love and Brett Favre. Like seeing those two play side by side was eerily, like just eerie how very similar those plays were.
But the guy he was throwing it to was under triple coverage. He had two guys right beside of him and one guy in front of him. And
it was a bad pass.
Terrible.
And Jordan Love, who has been great second half of the season on, Jordan Love just developed into a scary quarterback, and us Lions fans are sitting here going, great. And then Vikings and Bears fans saying, how does Green Bay keep finding another quarterback like this? And look, I like Jordan Love. I was telling, there's a guy who I started working with. He's a Packers fan, so I was giving him a little crap when I found that out. We were talking, and I was like, look, as long as Jordan Love doesn't start talking about, hollow earth theory and all this crazy, tinfoil hat stuff like Aaron Rodgers, I'll probably like Jordan Love more than Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Let's find out if he got vaccinated against
COVID. God, let's not even start that. But Jordan Love seems like a nice kid with his head on his shoulders. I haven't heard anything negative about him. Aaron Rodgers always kind of had this air of snootiness around him.
Yep.
Brett Favre, we always just kind of hated. I was raised hating Brett Favre. So, but Jordan Love, I like him. He developed. So that interception, I felt bad for him at that point because I was like, man, the Packers really could have, taken this game. They really could have.
I didn't. Well, yes, they could have, and I don't feel bad for him. He's still a Packer, so as
Fair.
long as he's wearing that, that green and yellow uniform, I don't like him.
Fair. But I mean, there's a difference between I don't like a player and it's like, look, I respect you, but since you're on the other team, I have to not like you, kind of.
I've only in the last couple of years gotten over my hatred of Fran Tarkenton with the Minnesota Vikings because he could find a way to beat the Lions every time. We'd be chasing him around and, we got him. He's back 15 yards. Oh, we're going to get him. He'd throw a pass for 80 yards for a touchdown.
That's what it seems like every time the Lions play a quarterback now. It's just like, we got him. No, you don't got him.
Yeah, that's still going on.
So the 49ers, So they also had a week off. They were the other 1 seed. They also rested some starters like the Ravens did, but they just did not come out clicking as much.
They weren't as dominating as
people would
everybody
assume.
thought they were going to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. They looked beatable.
Look. I mean, all these teams look beatable at certain points. So we'll talk about that later. But I mean, as far as the 49ers, they also lost Deebo Samuel. He's 50-50 going into the NFC Championship game. Whether or not he'll play or not, that could be a big factor. And Brock Purdy's getting a lot of talk too because he didn't play a great game, but he did leave a great drive to kind of win the game for the 49ers. So we'll see how that plays out. Anything else from this 49ers Packers game?
No, I'm glad that the 49ers won. I was really concerned that the Packers were going to come to Detroit. Yes, it would have been great to see another game in Detroit, 3 straight home games. But, if the Packers had come to Detroit and if we had found a way to lose to them, that would have been soul crushing. I would much rather lose to the 49ers in their house than to lose to Green Bay in our house.
That was going to be my next question.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it was torn. Like, if Green Bay would have won and Detroit wins, we get a third playoff game at Ford Field. But part of me was like, you know what? I want to go to. I was like, of all the opponents, I would love for Detroit to go to San Fran and prove a lot of haters wrong. Which, if you even listen to any of the pundits so far this week, and it's only Tuesday, everybody's already talking about there's some believers that the Lions. I mean, everybody's saying, well, they're beatable. The Lions can win this game, but you still got some people who are heels in the sand. San Francisco's the best team in the NFL still, and I'm like, not with Baltimore standing right there, but I mean, we'll see. It's the NFL. Anything can happen any given week. All right, let's go to the Sunday games. We start off with our beloved Detroit Lions defeating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-23 at Ford Field for the Lions' second home playoff game at Ford Field ever, and that crowd showed up again.
Yeah, they broke the decibel level.
Did they? I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was like 133 something.
Well, they did that for the Lions-Rams game.
Right, but
they broke it for this game too?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't see that.
From what I saw. At least that's the way I understood it. Maybe I was
I'll have to look it up because I haven't seen anything about the decibel thing.
Yeah, but they said it was a new record.
I'm just a little bummed that we got dumb little pom-poms for the first playoff game.
Yeah.
And this next game, they all got really cool all grit towels.
Yeah.
I was a little bummed.
I love one of those.
But luckily, I have a hookup, and they're getting me one of them towels.
All right.
So I'm very happy about getting one of them towels.
An all grit towel.
Yeah, I'm excited. Cool. But I mean, that crowd looked great. Having the towels was a great image.
Yep.
It looked like it was loud. My friend who has the season tickets, she sent me a picture because we were only a few rows in front of her at that game. Yeah. She sent me a picture off to the right where we sat. Up along the back wall in that corner were the scattered Bucks fans. And she's like, look, this is the amount of Buck fans. And in the picture, there looks like there's maybe 15 to 20 of them. And but she's like, they are loud. Like you wouldn't think so being way up there. And here, I'll show you the picture.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, not a whole bunch.
She said they were loud up there in that corner.
They're close to the roof, so it probably echoed from up there.
It could have. So, I mean, but let's give some credit. I mean, we'll talk Lions, I'm sure, all the live long day, but let's give some credit to the Buccaneers, who were another tough out. They people who said, oh, they're a 9-8 team, they shouldn't have gotten that far. Look, they won their division. They had to do what they had to do to get into the playoffs. If you make it into the playoffs, I don't care what your record is. All bets are off at that point. Everybody's on equal playing field, despite the fact that certain teams get home field advantage. But other than that, it is anybody's game to win. And the Buccaneers came in, and they were not about to let Detroit just walk all over them. And I'll give the Buccaneers a lot of credit. I'll give Baker Mayfield a lot of credit. He was slinging that ball around like Matthew Stafford. I mean, he made a couple of crucial errors, unlike Stafford, because Stafford didn't throw any picks in that game. But Baker threw one that wasn't his fault, kind of got tipped up, kind of eerily similar to the first game against Tampa where the ball got tipped and intercepted by Detroit. And because, you and I didn't watch this game together. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So we're talking about this game together other than we FaceTime for a couple minutes after the game.
Right.
But after that interception, and how about C.J. Gardner-Johnson just kind of living, backing up the smack talk, walked up to Baker Mayfield and gave him the ball back after that interception. Like, all the smack talk between them this week was great. But then Baker threw that crucial one at the end of the game that sealed it.
Right. Well, for the most part, Detroit, the defense held Baker Mayfield in check.
It was it was Ben. It was
so many times when they were like 3 and out,
maybe break a little bit.
Right, but then all of a sudden, Tampa Bay needed to score, and we couldn't stop them. And they were just, he was completing 15, 20-yard passes down the field, and boom, they're in the end zone, and then we'd stop them for a while, and then they'd start another drive, and there they go again. They were completing the long pass. They were finding openings in the defense, and so it just went back and forth.
It helps having a Mike Evans, who is one of the best receivers to play the game. What is it, 10 straight years of 1,000 yards receiving every season? A heck of a streak that guy has been on, and I don't think he gets as much love as he deserves when you talk about the best receivers in the NFL. And he got his. He had, what was it, like 8 or 9 catches for 140-something yards and a touchdown. So Mike Evans played great. And then, it did also come down to the Lions eventually, got the 4th down touchdown with Craig Reynolds, which was a bit of a surprise. Like, Craig Reynolds, why are we handing it off to him on 4th down? Which, who saw that coming?
I didn't even know he was in the game.
But Ben Johnson clearly knew what he was doing there.
Yeah.
Then the touchdown to Amon-Ra, which got him up 31-17. So we're up by,
That
at
was
that
a
point,
beautiful pass.
by that point, when we were up by 2 touchdowns, I felt so much better.
Right.
But then that's when Baker did the comeback. But then they went for 2.
Yeah.
Which, Collinsworth and Tariqa were talking about the analytics and all that. And I'm like, analytics, schmamalimics. Like, what? You stay to be within 7.
Right.
Because which they could have done.
Right.
Boy, that last drive, I thought Baker was going to march them right down the field the way our defense was playing. But luckily we got that pick. But boy, why would you put that much pressure on yourself later?
Yeah.
You don't go for 2 unless you're doing Dan Campbell things. I mean, like, we're here to win the game at the end of the game. No, you try to, and it's a playoff game. You try to tie that game up and you keep it within reach until you can get to that point, or unless it's inevitable you have to do that 2 point. If you don't have to take that 2 point and you can stay within 7, just do it. So that was a baffling call. There's that, and then I didn't really realize it at the end of the game, but the Bucs had the 1 timeout. And when the Lions kneeled it, there was enough time for Tampa to call a timeout, and the Lions would have had to have kicked a field goal with 30-something seconds left. So some very weird decision-making both sides at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But
the 2-point conversion was a big question mark in my mind, and I thought that was the wrong decision for them. And then,
I mean, you get it. It's different.
Right.
But since they missed it, it's like, great, now you're down by 8.
Right.
So all the Lions have to do is kick a field goal, and then they're up 2 possessions. Mm-hmm. So...
But then they get the ball back, and I had a lot of confidence that our defense could hold them off because they were way back in their own end of the field. There wasn't a whole lot of time left on the clock, and so I thought, well, even if they can, just make them use up a lot of clock to go down and score, that they'd have to go for 2. Maybe we could stop them from 2.
Right. At worst, it was going to
be a tie game going overtime, which I didn't want to see.
Right.
But so I was pretty confident that they were going to win, but the possibility was there that Baker could move him down the field because he had done that a couple times earlier.
They had a 90-yard drive earlier in that game, so I was like, it's not beyond them to do it again.
Right.
But the fact that they had that 2-point conversion looming over them, I was like, that's huge. Either we stop them again and we win by 2, or they tie it up and we go to overtime. Like that, those are the 2 worst case scenarios for us. Right. But then it happened that Barnes came up with that big interception there, dropped back in the lane and picked
his first interception ever.
And what a speech he gave after the game. That was cool to see. I mean, we kind of gave Barnes crap because he was the player during the Dallas game that had Dak Prescott, could have wrapped him up for a safety, but just
had his hands on him in the end zone.
Didn't even have his hands on him. He just like brushed by him.
Well, he could have had his hands on him. He was right there.
But he ran past Dak, and that was like, everybody's like, "What are you doing, Barnes?" So I won't want to say like that made up for it, but it's just like it was good to see a guy who we kind of dogged on for that one play.
He redeemed himself.
He redeemed himself, and so it was great to see. And now the Lions are playing in the NFC Conference Championship game for the first time since 1992.
And they played well on the road this year, so I'm not, I have no problem with them going on the road and winning a game.
Yeah, we'll talk about the matchups here in a second because we got one more game to talk about.
All right.
The Kansas City Chiefs went into cold Buffalo and gave the Bills another spanking in the playoffs, 27-24. How much of this game did you watch?
I watched probably 3/4 of it. I think I fell asleep at the end, and I didn't know who won till the next morning.
Oh,
I really didn't.
Well, so,
I kind of thought they did, but I couldn't. I didn't see a score or anything.
Okay,
I was just kind of out of it.
Yeah, because I watched this game, but it was in chunks because it was after the Lions game. We were making dinner, and then we ate dinner, so I didn't watch any football. I was like, I gave the girls a break. I was like, all right, we're going to just sit down and eat. We won't turn the TV on for a while. But then when we were done, I kind of turned the TV back on. And then Kyle and I were prepping. I was texting him like, hey, when the girls leave, we'll podcast. So I didn't really watch much of the game because I was talking. Kyle and I did the show. And then when I was editing the show, that's kind of when I started to finally tune into the game. But man, the Bills really fumbled an opportunity here.
Yeah.
You had it in your building. You had, by no means a perfect Chiefs team, but a Chiefs team who's got enough experience in the playoffs to be scary.
Right.
And that's what showed up. They made some critical errors on both teams that neither team seemed to capitalize on fully. Because there was the lucky break the Bills got where Hardman fumbled the ball into the end zone. So that play popping up again, this year, which I think a lot of people you're either for it or you're against penalizing the offense for fumbling it into the end zone. And now
they may address that in the offseason.
So we'll see. It's a weird play. It's a weird play. So we'll see what they do with it. But gave the Bills the ball back. Josh Allen still looked great, but I don't know how the punt, that weird fake punt they went for with DeMar Hamlin.
Oh, yeah.
Why that far back? Like I was like, who does this guy think he is? Dan Campbell?
Yeah.
Going for it on his end of the field?
Yeah, everybody wants to be Dan Campbell, but Dan Campbell has not been Dan Campbell lately. I mean, he hasn't had a lot of trick plays or,
him and Ben Johnson. Yeah,
double reverses. It's been straight ahead football for Detroit in the playoffs.
It's like they've been waiting to pull out the bag of tricks.
Well,
but we'll see. We're not talking about the Lions. We're talking about Andy Reid and Sean McDermott. Great coaching matchup, but I don't know what Sean McDermott and his coaches were thinking going for that punt in that situation. I guess the Chiefs had 10 guys on the field. So I don't know how quick if it was like, if you see that, just do it. And like giving it to DeMar, I get there, trying to make him a hero.
Right.
But boy, it didn't look good when it got stuffed the way it did. They sniffed that out.
Yeah.
You give the Chiefs the ball back in your territory. It was just, I don't know if I like that. And then, of course, to the, I feel bad for our Bills friends over there in the PFRA having to sit there and watch a Bills kicker miss a field goal wide right.
Wide right again.
Oof. The trauma they must have seen. And boy, I mean, I can't even imagine. Don't want to imagine.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, I put my head in my hands for them. I was like, oh no.
You talk about a soul-crushing defeat. That was one for Bills fans.
I mean, last week we saw the Lions fan crying for getting a playoff win.
Yep.
Now there's that poor Bills fan who's going to be known as the crying Bills fan.
I don't know if
that one was bad. That guy just was in tears, covering his face up with his hat. And then, of course, my favorite caption for that is when you shovel the Bills stadium for them and this is how they treat you.
Yeah.
Just, boy,
I had not seen that.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll see it at some point.
All I can say is the Chiefs are the Bills' kryptonite. There's just
Clearly,
something about
it doesn't matter, home or
those two teams. The Chiefs are going to come out.
And it was
top.
the Chiefs' first road game.
Yeah, well,
in the playoffs?
It was Mahomes' first road
playoff game.
Road playoff game ever for him.
Yeah, and
he's always played at home.
And how about that? The other stat I think I sent you today: Mahomes has more playoff games in his career.
Well, he has 17.
17 than the Arizona Cardinals franchise, and that goes back to when they were the Chicago Cardinals,
right.
who have only had 16 playoff games.
Well, I thought they had 17. I think he tied it, but
I thought it was
but either way. I mean, it's incredible that
one player has more than a franchise.
Yeah. Or as many as a franchise.
I mean, that's just like saying, like, when you talk about Tom Brady and like some of the stuff he did, which is more than a single franchise could do. What does it say here? I'm like pulling up the picture I sent you, but it's taking forever to load. But I mean, what can we say about the Chiefs that hasn't been said? I know people are sick of seeing them. And, whenever we get these good dynasties of just like teams that are just so well put together that are there at the end of the year all the time, people are sick of seeing them. And maybe it's the Taylor Swift factor. I think it's mainly
just going
that.
to say something about
that. But now we have a new wrinkle in the fold. And that's
Jason
the best
Kelce.
thing was Jason Kelce being a man's man. I don't care
Thank you, Jason Kelce, for taking the spotlight away from Taylor Swift when the strategic.
was on her
and Mahomes' wife, and you're behind him with your shirt off, chugging a beer.
I'm pretty sure that had to have been like them sitting around like, man, I just want to sit and enjoy the game, and I'm tired of them focusing on us. And Jason's like, don't worry, girls.
I got this.
Takes shirt off, chugs a beer.
Going out in the stands and picking up a little girl with his bare chest and holding her up so that she can show a sign to Taylor Swift.
Where did I see it? Where it was one of Jason Kelce's daughters like asked her mom like, "Why is Daddy's boobs out?" or something like that at the game. It was something like that. Like I think she texted to him or something. I'm sure they'll have a great story on that Kelsey Brothers podcast.
Jeez.
I can't wait to listen to that now. But come on, that Jason Kelsey is now. I'm going to slightly tweak like last week we talked about.
He's America's brother
He's
now.
American. Well, no, give him the sexiest man alive award. He just give him whatever manly man Ron Swanson award you can think of, because that dude,
Ron Swanson,
that dude
yeah,
is
there
a
you go.
real life Ron Swanson at this point, with way more personality than Ron Swanson. I mean, I love Ron Swanson. Don't get me wrong. Ron Swanson's got personality for days.
Do you,
Anyway,
do you go out and get a steak after that?
yep. But like last week, I said I would love to see Jason and Travis be like announcers. Never mind. I want to change it. I want to make Jason Kelsey like a Pat McAfee style. He's the guy he's the sideline reporter. Put him in the stands. Let him go drink with some fans. Let him just be a dude. All right, we're gonna cut to Jason Kelsey, who's with the Bills fans. How's it out there, Jason? Don't worry. Hold on. Give me 5 seconds. I got to break a table real quick. Like, I love it. Just give me more Jason Kelsey doing Jason Kelsey
I think
stuff.
he's already got his post-football career lined up
the
already.
podcast is great, and now this.
Somebody's going to hire him to do crazy stuff.
I mean,
like
Pat
that.
McAfee said it great. He's like, he's a 36-year-old dude chugging a beer, jumping out in the snow, wearing those really nice sweatpants. I wasn't Versace sweatpants, whatever the brand is, but like
Juicy.
the athletic. If it said juicy on the butt, I don't know.
I wasn't looking at his butt.
But the fact that he like just jumped out there into that ice and like he slid a little bit, but he like still kind of held his own, like athletic. That dude is athletic for a 36-year-old, offensive lineman. Just color me impressed. And that should be the takeaway from that game.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that sets up the two conference championship games. Starting with the AFC game, which will be the 3:00 through 30 game on CBS. The Kansas City Chiefs will travel to Baltimore to play the Ravens. We'll do our picks obviously later this week. I'm not going to pick a game now, but
it's a great matchup.
that should be a great matchup. If there's any team right now that could beat the Ravens, it might be the Chiefs.
Yep.
And I'm not saying the Chiefs are a better team. The Ravens look like the best team,
Right.
but the Chiefs have that we've been there factor. And now that Mahomes has got a road playoff win, all bets are off.
Yeah.
So Mahomes magic versus Lamar magic, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. This should be a great game.
Yep.
All right, and then in the NFC, you have the Detroit Lions traveling down to San Francisco to play the 49ers in Santa Clara. Weather's supposed to be decent here, like 60 degrees.
Yeah.
The Lions' first NFC championship game since 92. The Niners have now played in 5 of the last 6 conference championship games. And for the Chiefs, real quick, 6 straight AFC title game appearances for them.
Yep.
So
I think both of these are great matchups, and they're both the number 1 seed versus the number 3 seed.
yes, they are.
So I think we do have the 2 best teams in each conference going,
I think so. The
going at each other.
Lions did get jobbed a little bit. Lions probably should have ended up at the number 2 at the worst.
Whatever.
They could have been number 1.
They're still there in
but
championship game.
all that game is done. All that's done, and here we are. It's kind of the game we thought would end up if it shook out the way it should have, and it's Lions Niners, Chiefs Ravens. Despite the Chiefs being the 3 seed, there's still all really good teams left.
Yep. The seedings don't matter. right now.
And you have 3 teams that have been to Super Bowls and won Super Bowls. Niners, it's been a while, but the Lions, the only team left who has never been into a Super Bowl.
We've talked about this before. There have been 4 teams that have not gone to a Super Bowl.
Just to appear in a Super Bowl.
right,
yeah.
to appear in Super Bowl. Lions, Browns, Texans,
and Jags.
and Jaguars. And there have been times when we've been doing this podcast for over 6 years now, and there have been times when we've kind of asked ourselves, which one of those 4 teams is close to getting into the Super Bowl? And at times it was the Jaguars.
Oh, the
at
Jags
times
got
it
close.
was the Browns. And we never really thought about Detroit being there, this close.
Right.
Maybe after last season.
Maybe.
But now here they are, 1 game away from it.
It's unreal, the stress I'm already feeling. The game's not even been played yet. Look, and I give them. I mean, all these teams have a chance.
Right.
And that's the crazy thing is teams can still get blown out. It happens. But if you're to sit here, it's not sitting here being like it's a lock that the Niners are going to win or it's a lock that the Ravens are going to win. It could go either way. It could be the Lions Chiefs. It could be the Lions Ravens. It could be the 49ers Chiefs or 49ers Ravens. Those are your 4 possible combinations. And of those combinations, I would rather see Lions Chiefs. I know people don't want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl because of Taylor Swift.
Right.
But
that's the way the script is written.
if that's we'll see. But
you think she'd have been wasting her time with Kansas City all year long if they weren't going to the Super Bowl?
I just want
so.
Eminem and Taylor Swift to do some sort of duet.
There was a graphic of the two of them wearing team jerseys. And,
Oh, yeah. I'm down for it. I think that's what America wants. Well, no, America supposedly wants Lions, Ravens just to get away from the Niners and get away from the Chiefs. So we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, by this time next week,
yeah,
God, we could be either talking about the Lions playing in a Super Bowl for Christ's sake, or maybe we'll have enough time from a loss. We'll be, you know what, we had a good season. And we played a heck of a game, and we just didn't come out on top.
yeah.
So
I don't mind losing to a better team.
No.
I don't want the refs to determine the winner
Exactly.
of either of these two games.
No.
Stay out of it. Let the teams play. Let the better team win.
Yeah, just let them play. And if there are any of that bull crap, like missed calls or just like egregious stuff that like decided, like when the Rams went to the Super Bowl and the controversial pass interference with the Saints, that they got away with, like none of that. Like let's have some buttoned up officiating.
Yep. No controversies this time. Just if you're gonna get beat, you're gonna get beat by a better team.
Yep.
And I think everybody can live with that.
Yep. All right. So that's it for the game. So let's throw it over to Dad, who's going to talk about some NFL news.
Yeah. Not a whole lot this week, but in what I think is a surprise move, the Dallas Cowboys are keeping head coach Mike McCarthy. He has 1 year left on his contract, and they're going to give him one more year. I don't think it's a good idea, but I think. On the other hand, as a Lions fan, I like it because I don't think he's going to lead them to anything next year.
You're stealing the words right out of my mouth, because I felt the same way about what the Bears did keeping Eberflus. Like, what are you guys doing? I mean, if you want to do that, that's your own dang fault.
Yep.
And so if Jerry, and to make, like, essentially you're making McCarthy a lame duck.
Right.
1 year. So now it's any big loss the Cowboys have during the season next year. Mike McCarthy's going to be on. Is this the game that Jerry does it? Is this the game that Jerry does it?
Yeah, is he going to yank him?
Now they're looking great for 3 or 4 weeks. They're a Super Bowl contender. Then they get embarrassed by the 49ers again. Do they do it then? It's a no-win situation for the Cowboys. I feel bad for Cowboys fans because your organization is run by a complete buffoon in Jerry Jones. And don't get me wrong.
Well, he's 110 years old. Come on, he's not thinking right.
I don't care if you're the Crypt Keeper's cousin. You don't know how to run a football team. But, like, and I'm not saying Mike McCarthy's a bad coach. It's just
he's not the right fit.
You've gone 12-5, or you've won 12 games the last 3 seasons, maybe one playoff win in those 3 years. And when the Detroit Lions in the last 3 years now have more playoff wins than you and more conference championship appearances than you since 1996, maybe you need to do something different. Yeah. And I think apparently Bill Belichick was asked if he would want the Cowboys job and turned it down. That's a rumor.
I did not hear that.
I had saw that somewhere by, I won't say a credible news source. I want to say it was one of those news sources.
Well, maybe that's why they are keeping him, because
I think that's what happened. That's why between that one, I think the Eagles did the same thing. I want to say that was the other job that they asked Bill Belichick if he would, and he said no. So we'll see.
What are we holding out for?
I don't know. Apparently the Falcons job is more enticing than we thought. But
I don't know.
Who knows? Time will tell. But I think it's a mistake keeping Mike McCarthy. He'll get you your 12 wins during the regular season, but guess what? When it counts, he'll fold like a lawn chair because he'll go up against the Packers
and
again.
And that's not really McCarthy's fault. It's Dak Prescott too. So between the two of them, keep those two, and all the Dallas haters will be happy.
Look, I have no problem with Dak as a player. I told the Green Bay guy today at work, I was like, I was just tired of hearing, "Here we go," before every snap that Dak Prescott had. That's the only. I was like, I hate Dak Prescott now because of that. But
it's no Omaha, but he's trying to make it. No,
but I hate it. I hate it so much. But yeah, so whatever. If they want to keep Mike McCarthy for another year, that's just going to tell me, hey, guess who's not winning a playoff game next year? Probably Dallas.
Yeah. In some other news, the Las Vegas Raiders have hired their interim head coach, Antonio Pierce, to be their full-time head coach. And you'll remember he got the job after Las Vegas lost to Detroit on Monday night, and we were there for that game.
Then Josh McDaniels got fired. But, I mean, the locker room seemed to be very much pro Antonio Pierce. And after Gruden got fired, and they had, I forget the coach who filled in for him, and essentially got him into the playoffs there at the end of the year. I'm blanking on his name, but they had the same situation. They had a coach middle of the season. The team got hot, got into the playoffs. They lost that playoff game, I believe, or it was the game to get into the playoffs. But they were red hot at the end of the year, and they had a shot, and a lot of the players were like, you know what, we could play for this guy, and they went and got McDaniels and let this guy go. So I think they rectified a mistake. Like, okay, last time we did that, we let the guy go. This time, let's try keeping the hot hand, a guy who really won the locker room over, and let him be the coach. So we'll see what Antonio Pierce does with a full off season and a full season with the Raiders as a head coach. I'd like to give him a shot. He seemed, like I said, hearing like a lot of those players vouch for him said a lot. Like Max Crosby saying, if he doesn't come back, if he's not our coach, I'm probably going to walk.
Yeah.
So that's a big name you don't want to piss off in your locker room. So.
In another move, I just heard this today. Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan is looks like he's going to be the next coach of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I think I saw that last night.
It's not. Well, I didn't see it till today.
They're
but
finalizing the deal.
It's not confirmed yet, but it looks like it's all but got a signature on a page. So
Yeah.
look for that in the next day or so to be finalized.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know much about them. I mean, the
No, I
Bengals
don't
have
either.
had a pretty decent offense, and look what they did this year after they lost Joe Burrow, and then they insert Browning. Is that his name? The backup there, and
Yes, I believe so.
Browning. He played great. So, and it's an offensive league in the NFL, and you got to find that hot coordinator, that hot play caller that's gonna, offense is where it's at. Look at all the teams that have a lot of the success. It's the offensive coaches that really seem to have all the success. The defensive coaches are the ones that have a harder time, I think, getting a solid team and foundation going, for keeping that sustainable for several years. So I think they see the trend because the Vrabel was a defensive guy in Tennessee. So now you're going the opposite direction. You're getting an offensive coordinator here in Callahan.
Okay, and the last thing under NFL news, the Lions are signing veteran tight end Zach Ertz from the Arizona Cardinals.
He was with the Cardinals, with the Eagles for a number of years.
I guess the one receiver tight end for Detroit got injured, which I didn't know.
Brock Wright.
Right, yeah. He had that great play along the sidelines, and he juked out a guy and got another 10 yards after that. And I had no idea that he was injured in the game.
We had
somehow.
him hurt. I think our other tight end Mitchell's been hurt. And then obviously Laporta, who's been playing through that knee injury, but he's still looking great despite that knee brace. So we were wondering a few weeks ago if they would go for Ertz when we weren't even sure if Laporta was going to play. And when Laporta played, I was like, oh, I guess we don't need Ertz. And now they end up signing him. I mean,
he's got a connection with one of the Lions assistant coaches.
Yes, so the tight end coach, I want to say maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I mean, Zach Ertz in his right was a top tight end. Maybe not with Arizona but when he was with the Eagles, he was a great tight end. I think he's a guy that can still clearly he's been waiting for an opportunity. You join a team, and it's not like you're gonna have to throw it deep to him, but if he's still got some juice in the tank, that's a guy you want. And so Detroit getting him for the conference championship game.
Yeah.
What a move. That's a guy ring chasing if I've ever seen one.
Hey, if we need him, we need him, and
We'll see.
Let's get him. Okay, now let's take a look at what's going on in the world of college football. The top story here is EA Sports NCAA college football video game has a release date. It's going to be released on July 12th, 2024. It's been 10 years since EA Sports has put out a college football game. Back in 2013.
We finally did it, America.
You're
It's
more
finally
into this
happening.
than I am. I don't play video games, but you have been just salivating for a new video game.
I wasn't always the biggest into the NCAA. I always played Madden. But the college game was always a nice bonus to have kind of on the side there. I know a lot of people were way more into the college game than the Madden game. I think just the fact that you could, do a lot more stuff with it, play a lot of the great, and there's more teams, obviously. You're playing all of college football. So it's just
133 teams at the FBS level now.
134, I thought, last I knew.
Well, last I knew it was 133.
I think they added one.
I remember when it was 120.
Yeah, but regardless,
not too many years
But yeah,
ago.
waiting for this game for years, and then the last couple of years they finally started talking about it again. And now with the name and likeness stuff, are we going to get player names? That was a whole bunch of issues they had to deal with. So
yeah, that was a big thing. It was the NIL thing. They had to get that figured out before they could, how much they were going to pay these
and to
kids.
finally have this game coming out, I mean, I'm excited. I'm going to get it. And I bet you it's going to break a bunch of records. So this ain't going to be the last time we talk about this game. We'll probably talk about how it's the highest selling video game or sports video game of all time. Like I'm telling you right now, people have been salivating for this thing, and it's been 10 years. People are still playing the 2013 game. Whatever that last version is, you can still find videos on YouTube of people playing that game.
Well, with the technology, this is 10 years ago. How good has the technology become in 10 years for all these video games, the graphics and all that?
I think it's been a big step up. I mean, you look at Madden. I mean, every year it's kind of like they just make you pay $60 for the same game you had last year. All they have to do is update rosters, and it's the same exact. Everything else is the same. Which why I don't buy Madden every year anymore. I bought it this year, and I had barely played it. Uh, but with that, I mean, the graphics, at least from that last college game to this, and whatever other features they add to it, like you can play as an individual player, have your own college legacy. You know, you could become a Heisman Trophy winner. So they have a lot of different ways to appeal to fans of the game. And I know you're not big into that, but like they have a lot of create your own player, go on your own character journey, you know, whatever. And they might even have a feature where you get drafted. And it used to be you could create your player in the NCAA game, and after you did your 4 years, you could hypothetically then download your player into the Madden game and then play as your guy in Madden. You know, which was a cool feature. You know, making those two games kind of simpatico. But I'm telling you right now, wait, when that game comes out, your YouTube feed will probably be blown up with just NCAA videos.
You think there'll be lines at the video stores or the video
I
game,
mean, how many?
wherever you buy them?
I mean, they're getting rid of physical copies left and right, but I'm
It's all a
I'm
download
sure you will see maybe some stores, but I'm sure it'll mainly just be the biggest downloaded game.
Okay.
So you'll probably hear about Xbox or PlayStation crashed because so many millions of people were trying to buy the same game at midnight,
Right.
which usually doesn't happen. But you'll hear some sort of story about the video game, I'm sure.
So you probably won't get it right away, but you'll eventually get it.
I mean, depending if I got the extra money that day, because I'm not gonna sit there and put it on my calendar, but if I hear like, oh yeah, that just came out the other day, let me get that right now.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing in the article I read. It did not say what it was going to cost.
Oh,
So
I'm sure there will like every video game nowadays, they're gonna milk it for all it's worth. The base game will probably be the $60-$70 that like even Madden was, but then you do like the deluxe edition where maybe you get extra, you know, things in the game, or you know, unlock certain mini games. I don't know. They do a bunch of different stuff that I could care less about. Just let me play the football game. Yeah, maybe unlock some uniforms. I don't know.
Do they have like 20 or 30 different combinations for Oregon or Oregon?
I'm not sure. It's been so long. Think of all the combinations they've been missing out on over the last few years. What the Madden game does that I like is you can play and get. I mean, they come with the game. Is I can go any Lions uniform combination from essentially the 90s on. They might even have some of the like 80s uniforms, but I can't remember. It's been a while since I played it. But if they do that even for college, like think of all the Oregon combinations. I mean, some of the cool alternates that like an Army or Navy did.
Oh yeah,
would be cool to put in the game, but even that's not a for sure thing. It just depends. So we'll see. And I'm sure maybe Aaron and I could do something with the video game for the YouTube channel.
Maybe.
I saw. Oh, okay, real sidebar. Aaron was sick the other day. You know what he was playing? Arena football on the PlayStation 2.
Oh, really?
He sent me a picture.
Him.
He sent me a picture of him playing the video game on his PS2 on his TV, and I was a little jealous.
What teams was he?
I didn't see what teams. He just showed me the home screen that said Arena Football.
Was it the Kurt Warner thing?
No, it was not Road to Glory. It was either the Road to Glory, which is the second Arena Football game for PlayStation 2, or the first one, which had Dutton or Sutton. No, Dutton, the quarterback for the crush on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the second game had Bob McMillan, the running back for the
Chicago
Rush.
Oh, man.
Yep, Bob McMillan.
Cool.
There you go. Sorry, a little Arena Football sidebar.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Some more college news. Arizona announced Brent Brennan as their new head coach. He had been the head coach at San Jose State for the past 7 years. So now San Jose State is in need of a new coach. We kind of talked about this last week.
The domino effect.
Alabama hired the guy from
Washington,
and then they hired the guy from Arizona, and now Arizona's hired. Oh my gosh, aren't there any coordinators that are good enough to get a head coaching job right now? But so San Jose State, I haven't heard that they've hired a new head coach yet, but they're the latest ones to be needing a new head coach. Another story: Harvard, the Harvard football coach Tim Murphy, age 67, is retiring after 30 seasons with the team. I had no idea he had been there that long. He started in 1994, and he ends with a record of 200 wins and 89 losses. He had 10 Ivy League championships, including a share of this past season's Ivy League title. So congratulations, Tim Murphy, on your retirement. enjoy it. I retired a few years ago. I love it. So so I'm happy for
Start a
anybody that
podcast. That's what
retires
Randy did.
who can still walk after you retire from from whatever job you've been doing for 30 years.
Yeah.
Good for him. Let's see. California Governor Gavin Newsom has vetoed a proposed ban on tackle football for kids under the age of 12.
Interesting.
There's a lot of people that supported that. Obviously he didn't, but it went through the whole legislature and they passed a law or an amendment or bill or something that said we want to, keep kids under the age of 12 from playing tackle football for their own health, and he said no. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't know, but
I mean, I'm sure
think it's
I mean,
interesting.
our brains don't fully develop till we're in our
Right.
20s anyway.
Right.
And yeah, I get it. I am all about health and player safety.
Yep.
From the low level up. So if I had a kid that wanted to play tackle football, I mean, I'd probably be hesitant at first, but I would also make sure that they get the proper, equipment and all that, and they're being taught safe, proper tackling methods and all that. I mean, I get it. Like, it wouldn't upset me if they banned it for kids, but it doesn't upset me that they don't, because football is a game that you need to be conditioned. And I played 1 year in 5th grade, and that was like, nope, not for me. But maybe if I would have started younger, who knows if I would have stuck with it. The younger you are when you start something, the more apt you are to probably stick with it. I mean, look how many years we played soccer. You started us young with that, and that stuck with that up until my teens.
Yep.
Then eventually you discover what you really want to do, or if you really got a knack for it, you'll keep doing it.
Yeah, Aaron played soccer all the way through high school, through his senior season.
Yeah, and then I know like some friends. My friend Becca, she was on the high school soccer team with Eden.
Yep.
But Becca still does rec soccer. She goes to we got the soccer zone, indoor facilities here, and she joins a little league. So, if you got a thirst for the game, I mean, shoot, just go for it.
This next story, it didn't really fall under anything that we normally talk about, leagues or level.
Bizarre
But
story.
I'm just calling it other news. Sports Illustrated magazine is letting their entire staff go over the course of the next 3 months. That came as a real shock.
Yeah,
I mean, I've had a subscription to Sports Illustrated off and on. It got really expensive there for a while, so I stopped it. And they made me an offer I couldn't refuse a few years ago, where I don't get.
You got 2 bikini issues for the price of one?
No, in fact, I didn't even get the bikini issue last year.
Wow,
And,
what a bunch of
so,
jerks!
So I was going to not renew my subscription this year
Because of that?
for several reasons.
How dare they?
I don't read it a whole lot. There's not a whole lot. I'm only in there for the football stuff, and you only get like.
I think you're going to say you're only there to look at the pictures.
5 or 6 copies a year, of Sports Illustrated. I kept a couple. In fact, there was one recently that had an article. I can't remember what it was, but I said I'm going to keep that issue just for that article, because it was a football article. It was really good. But no, I don't get it every week. I'd get it maybe once a month, maybe once every other month. That was the way the subscription was set up, and it didn't cost a whole lot, so I didn't mind paying it. But it just wasn't the same anymore.
Yeah.
But I cannot imagine a world without Sports
gonna be
Illustrated
weird.
magazine, whether it's online or whatever. Somebody's going to buy the name Sports Illustrated.
Well, I mean, they're
going to start it up again.
Unless they're just shifting their focus, because now they lean more towards like their Instagram presence, which is where I've seen a lot of their stuff. Which I think even although that one I sent you is from CBS Sports, but like I follow them on Instagram. And so maybe that's where they're going. Or they got Chat GPT ready to go to write their articles for them. I don't know. Because how easy is it now to just put in, here's all the stats from the game you need to know about. Here's kind of the breakdown of the plays. Write an article about it. How simple. Do you really need a sports writer for that anymore? That's what they're thinking. I think you're missing a lot with the...
I hope that's not it.
I hope that's not it either. But I mean, can you put it past them? Everybody's going to that. Like, look at like Hollywood. Like, oh, let's just get Chat GPT to write a script, and it's utter nonsense. And then you're going to pay a writer to clean it up. Yeah. But like sports writers, like that's just, I don't know. The age of the sports writer is, I won't say it's gone, because now it's more turned into, you got to have your face on camera. You got to have a podcast. You got to be more than just a writer. Gone are the days of the gentleman who wrote the thing about the 4 horsemen.
Oh,
Why am I blanking on his name? The name's on the thing right behind me. Grantland Rice. Gone are those days of great sports writers like that. I mean, we still got a few kind of hanging around. Like, look at Peter King, who would always
Right.
do articles.
Right.
And then he kind of had to transition, or I don't know if he had to, but he kind of did the right thing, or at the right time transitioned into being a on TV personality. He's got a podcast. He pops up on NBC, Sunday Night Football stuff here and there. So you got to transition, and you got to be more than just a guy who sits and writes, or a gal who sits and writes, because nobody's got the attention span apparently anymore to just sit down and read an article.
That's true. That is very true.
And I hate saying that. As somebody who
people have a short attention span these days, and you get an article that goes over 3-4 pages in a magazine. Even for myself, but I just think that's an age thing. Is that I just don't have the patience anymore to read a 4-page article.
It's between that and then on all these media platforms, there's just so much to consume,
right?
That your attention is like, okay, I started this article, and maybe it just doesn't grab you. Then you're on to the next thing,
right?
But it's like, I don't know. There's just so much to get to. There's so much to choose from. Like, you can't just sit there and read 8 20-page articles. I mean, unless you're retired and have the time like you do.
Well, like I said, I only read the football stuff, and they've got a lot of great articles about people, tennis players and basketball players and this and that. And that doesn't interest me. I'm only interested in the football stuff. But one of the things I liked about Sports Illustrated was they always had the covers for sale. You could buy a cover from any.
Always great covers.
Billy Sims was a great cover. There was one of Alex Karras with the Lions. Barry Sanders cover.
They always had that
Doug Flutie cover with USFL. I might have bought one of the. Well, no, because I think it was just somebody's magazine. I think I bought the magazine that Alex Karras was on the cover.
I mean, I always liked they always had the great pictures. They always got like a picture of the week.
Yeah.
And they always great photos in it. They always had some of the best photographers.
Oh, yeah.
Or they at least paid the best photographers for some
Right.
of those photos. And then they also had one of my favorite things that they used to do that they did away with a number of years ago was the sign of the apocalypse bit. It was like just a little blurb, but I would always flip through your Sports Illustrated just to find the sign of the apocalypse bit, which was no more than 2 or 3 sentences, if only a sentence half the time. But you remember those?
I do.
It would just be some
I don't remember any in
stat.
particular.
Yeah, nothing in particular. It would always just be some obscure stat or some just weird little factoid
or
that
something. Yeah.
it was just like, I learned something just now. That I would just flip to that page. And then I always liked when they do the Super Bowl or the NFL season preview. You flip through that. And
sure, that was a must-have. You want to
Yep.
see where do they think your
or
team's
you
gonna
sneak
be
into
this year?
Dad's room and then you steal the bikini issue. And I'm just kidding. I never stole a bikini issue. Well, that might have happened one time. That was it.
But yeah, now all these models are going to be, not have a place to go.
Oh, that's not true. They all have their own Instagrams. Yeah, don't worry. The sexy models will be fine, Randy. Let me assure you.
Thank God.
There will be a platform for them. You just got to go look for it.
Okay. I feel better now. Okay, let's see.
Don't tell Mom.
She knows. Today's birthdays and anniversaries, January 23rd. Guard Jerry Kramer turns 88 years old today. Played his college football at Idaho and was selected in the 4th round of the 1958 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers. He played his entire 11-year career with the Packers between 1958 and 1968. He won 5 NFL championships, including the first 2 Super Bowls, and he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2018, which was way too late because there are many other players from that era that got in the Pro Football Hall of Fame before him, and it was nice to see him finally get the recognition. And then the other birthday today is running back and wide receiver Eric Metcalf. He turns 56 years old today. Played his college football at Texas and was the 13th overall pick in the 1989 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns. He played 13 NFL seasons. He was with the Browns from 89 to 94, the Atlanta Falcons from 95 to 96, San Diego Chargers in 97, Arizona Cardinals in 1998, the Carolina Panthers in 1999, and the Washington Redskins in 2001, and the Green Bay Packers in 2002. So he had quite the career
Became a
there.
journeyman there at the end of his
guess,
career.
yeah. All right, we have a couple of obituaries this week. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first one is that of Art Baker, a college football coach in the 70s and 80s, has passed away at the age of 94. Baker was the head football coach at Furman from 1973 to 1977. He was also the head coach at the Citadel from 78 to 82 and at East Carolina from 85 to 88. Baker began his college coaching career as an assistant coach at Clemson from 65 to 69. and at Texas Tech from 1970 to 1972. He also served as an assistant coach at Florida State in 1984. Baker was inducted into the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame in 1995.
All right, and our final obituary this week is that of Uga the 10th, or Uga X, as I'm going to call him. The University of Georgia Bulldog mascot, fondly known as Q, died peacefully in his sleep today at the age of 10. Born on May 27th, 2013, he formally began his tenure in a collaring ceremony at the Georgia Southern football game on November 21st, 2015. Q retired following the 2022 season after becoming the most decorated of all the Bulldog mascots. He compiled a football record of 91-18, presided over 2 SEC titles, the 2021 and 2022 College Football Playoff National Championships, and 7 New Year's Six Bowl appearances. What a decorated mascot. I think our first mascot we've talked about on the show.
Probably, but I just think it's funny that they attach the record to all of these UGA mascots. Well, while you were here, we were winning 2 national championships and all that. It's fun. It's the whole UGA mascot is nationally known, whether you like Georgia or not. Everybody knows the mascot, and
what a life those dogs lead, man.
You know that they're all buried in the walls of the stadium.
Wow.
They have a little cemetery, and I don't know if it's just their ashes or what.
Oh God,
But
are your wheels already turning for a half grave will travel?
Thinking, I want to meet Matthew Stafford there at Georgia and have an interview with him in front of the
let's
the
just get
UGA
right on
graves.
that.
So and what was that movie? The Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
That's a pull.
The UGA mascot was in that movie also.
Wow.
So a little bit of trivia there.
Right on.
That's the only reason I watched that movie was to see the mascot.
Yeah, I'm sure that's it.
It is, really. I wouldn't have watched it otherwise. Interesting movie. You should. I'm surprised you don't know about it.
I've heard of it. I just don't know what it's about.
Yeah, you should.
Don't tell me anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
I liked it, so
okay. Usually, if you like something, I usually don't. So
no, you'll like this one. I think it's the kind of movie
you won't
like.
even watch Monarch on Apple TV Plus. I've been telling you about. Like,
I don't have the time. I'm too busy.
You don't have the time. You just said you were retired and have nothing but time.
But I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm busy in
Okay.
retirement.
Bull.
Busy having fun. All right. Finally, upcoming events calendar. Thursday, February 1st, the East-West Shrine Game in Frisco, Texas. Sunday, February 4th, the Pro Bowl games in Orlando. Don't anybody watch those. Sunday, February 11th, Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Tuesday, February 29th through Sunday, March 3rd, the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. We're already looking at all the off-season stuff here. March 16th, Saturday, March 16th, the Indoor Football League season begins. Saturday, March 30th, the United Football League season kicks off with a game between the Birmingham Stallions versus the Arlington Renegades. April 25th through the 27th, the NFL Draft in Detroit. We might make an appearance one of those
We'll see.
days.
We're still figuring it out.
Yeah. And then April 27th, the 33rd Arena Football League season begins. And we want to take in a game or two somewhere in the country for some arena football this year. It's been a while, and we're
got a lot of football trips.
We're jonesing for some arena football.
Bouncing off them nets.
Yep. All right. Anything else that you can see that popped up while we were talking?
Yes. One little thing. The Raiders are expected to hire former Chargers general manager Tom Telesco as their new general manager. So
okay.
That happened about 40-something minutes ago. So it happened like towards the start of the episode, but I wasn't really looking at my phone at that point.
Okay.
But so that's the big NFL news as of right now.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty more news.
I'm sure there'll be more. Now that some of these head coaching spots are getting open, filled up. And with more coaches now out, I mean, there's only 4 teams left. So unless somebody's really jonesing for Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn or any of the coordinators from the other 3 teams left in the playoffs, you probably should start seeing some of these deals locked up. Bill Belichick.
After next week.
Heard Harbaugh's gone back for second interviews with a couple teams. So what is Bill Harbaugh? Jim Harbaugh, what does he decide to do? So we'll find out.
All right. Well, if that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can follow The World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address for all three is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show over on our YouTube channel. Just search The World of Football Kalamazoo in the search bar, or use the handle @The World of Football. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And go Lions, one game away from a Super Bowl. Oh boy.
Yes. Oh, man. We'll see you all next week.